Has medicine truly become a high-volume business? I mean, in order for a physician to make the kind of living they want to make or used to make, has it gotten to the point that they've got to turn them and burn them? They got to really move them through.
Volume's the key. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the only way to make money. You got to see the numbers of people are what's going to bring the money. And so with that, that's not therapy for an hour. That's medication, prescription. And that's a sad situation because you really don't get to know the people. And really, is that the best solution for them? Could they be doing other therapies? Could they be doing other self-improvement things that will give them what they need to carry them through their life, not a pill with a prescription for a month?
How did we get in this opioid crisis? I mean, obviously, the composition of the pills were marketed originally as these are no problem. They're not going to be highly addictive, et cetera, et cetera. That's how they were originally marketed. And we're seeing now these multi-billion-dollar settlements from the originators. So that's being acknowledged. But this is epidemic proportions now. What the hell is going on?
They're giving out like candy. You can get your wisdom teeth done at the age of 15. You're given a full month's worth of an opioid. And parents don't know. They're giving it to their kid before you know it, the kid's addicted. I mean, they're coming at us from every angle. Pediatricians, dentists, you name it. They're just written. It's crazy.
Well, what's the solution? How do we start to curtail this? Because what I'm seeing, and, we deal with it a lot on Dr. Phil, is I'm seeing a lot of people that start taking the pills for what they consider legitimate reasons.
Right.
They had a surgery, they had an injury or something where they had organic pain. They actually needed something to deal with the pain. So they start taking it for what would be considered a legitimate reason. But statistics say if they're still taking it at 7 days, their chance of being addicted at 1 year is 12.5%. If they're still taking it at 30 days, their chance of being addicted at 1 year is a little over 30%.
Yeah, it's huge.
Then what I'm seeing is it gets very expensive, and heroin is much cheaper.
Yes.
So I'm seeing a whole new generation of heroin addicts in suburban moms.
Yep.
I call them soccer mom addicts that can't afford the opioids anymore. So they're now turning to heroin because it's cheaper. These are people that would never have considered themselves vulnerable to getting on heroin, but they can't afford the other. So now they're going to heroin and they have no idea what they're taking. They have no idea what it's cut with. Sometimes it's got fentanyl in it. They overdose. So what do we do? How do we rein in the physicians from overprescribing this?
Well, I'm currently on the educational board of the DEA, and that's what we're focused on, how to educate doctors and how to put the parameters into place to make physicians have a checkpoint and a system to be able to be educated, but also to be checked as far as their writing of these kinds of substances so that red flags can be raised. We're always going to have the on the street value, people on the street selling it, or the doctor who's in the corner of a strip mall who's just writing all day long for people. Those people will be easy to find when we have everyone else as regulated as we can. And so that's the key. Public information and education, doctor education, and monitoring.
Well, how can they know, though, if we don't have a system where a doctor in Bakersfield is able to punch something up and know what a doctor just across the state line into Arizona prescribed or somebody in LA prescribed? Doesn't there have to be a database where you can't doctor hop?
Yes. Right now, that database is kept within the pharmacies. So if I write a prescription for you and you take it to CVS, they're going to call me and say, do you know this guy just got this about 2 weeks ago in Florida? I'll know that. So that's the database there, but it has to be a doctor one as well, and that's what we're working on.
Yeah, but right now it's just the drugstores themselves, the pharmacists.
Right, and we count on that because they can all connect with each other, and they can tell us.
But is it the same if you go to Rite Aid and CVS?
Yep.
They communicate between themselves.
Yeah, there's a global network that tells us who got what when.
And what happens? Do they not give it?
Yeah, they won't give it. And then if you're pushing as the doctor for them to get it, then they either have to wait till another pharmacist comes on schedule to work that's more comfortable doing it, or you go to another pharmacy. that will do it. And that's oftentimes why people are moving toward a private pharmacy, because they can get things filled there. They're not going to necessarily come up in the database so quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there's always a loophole.
There's always a wait, exactly.
Always a loophole.
Yep. And someone will find it. Always.